I'm gonna try to keep this short and sweet because the other one was like an hour long. But I woke up, it's like, I really woke up earlier, like at 9 something. It's a lot later than yesterday. Because yesterday was like 6 o'clock, and I don't know how long this video is gonna go for because my storage on my phone is like pretty much taken up. But this is my morning again. So I've determined, so I wanted to give a clear view. So I am someone who did go through trauma, and I am slowly but surely overcoming that. No day is like the other. I used to be someone who was very much Echo, stop. I was playing I sleep till like nature sounds or whatever. So no day is like the other. And I used to be someone who prided myself on, like, I was very big on perfectionism. So like an order and structure, and spontaneity was never really my thing. So yeah, like I used to be pretty orderly, like in terms of cleanliness and stuff. I was pretty orderly, but no one prepares you for what it's like to like truly go through something where someone scares the shit out of you, and then you basically get like PTSD from it, and then you have to like overcome it like by yourself. Like no one prepares you for that. I'm really weird. I like to turn on the fans, so I have like 3 different air purifiers in my home. My dog is waiting for me to give her water. She did not eat last night because she's very picky about her food, which kind of a little bit frustrating. I love her to pieces, but she did not eat any of her food. And you know, I buy all these like cans of food, and she's very picky. Like, and I don't know. I've seen videos. It's just the thing is that different foods and stuff. I'm gonna place this here for a second. I'm placing my phone in the window. Different foods. I don't. Oh, because it's. I don't want. Okay, so there we go. Different foods, you know, like cost more. Like Pet's Table, kibble, and like Farmer's Dog, and plus like the packaging of some of those things I'm really not too keen on, to be honest, because they come in like a bag and then you have to like open it up and like refrigerate it and store it. I'm not really big on that. I'd rather just have it like in a regular bag, and then or like put it in a container. So again, real life depiction, right? This is not great in terms of dating somebody. This is if they ever see this, or they find, I don't have my name associated with the YouTube account that I have, that I created, but if they ever see this, it's gonna be like, damn, this girl, like, do I ever want to date this girl? And it's interesting. So, which is another video I want to do about dating. Like, can you date someone? Like, when is the right time to date someone? Like, because I used to feel, honestly, for me, like I didn't want to date somebody because I didn't feel like I was fully healed yet, and I felt like if I wanted to date somebody, I wanted to give them like the whole pretty picture perfect version of me, not like the messy, disorganized, not so much fearful, but just kind of like haphazard, I guess. And that's life. Like, I get, you know, it's interesting because I think sometimes we're so afraid to be vulnerable and show our true authentic selves for the fear of being scrutinized and ridiculed and judged and all that. So, but this is again my life. I just got out of my bed. I know it looks like a hot mess. I left my computer on the bed. I should have charged it. I did fall asleep in my clothes again from yesterday, but fortunately they kind of look like pajamas, right? So like my top from before, I forgot to put this in the sink. I was drinking iced tea, and I often use my books as like, not place, I was gonna say, what's it called? Not cup holders, coasters. My sink is somewhat better. So the therapist that I'm working with to help me like overcome and reverse my brain from stuff and get me back to like an orderly, organized pattern or way of living, she told me like, do the dishes, like set a timer, and there's something called the Pomodoro technique, so I'm practicing that, but I just don't like doing dishes. And I wanted to do a video on how do you find joy in doing the simple things, and like the things that are menial, like, and tedious. Like I forgot to clean. I did a burger yesterday, which I did record, and I didn't clean this. I know it looks like a hot mess, but that's that. This is my kitchen right now. I just also I've been tracking my ovulation. So the Natural Cycles app, the thing that I use, which, oh my God, reminds me, I need to take my temperature. So I do this every morning. I take my temperature every morning. It's a natural form of birth control. Again, I can't really say whether it's effective or not, because I'm not really, like, I am dating or whatever, but like, not even dating. I'm gonna call it courting, because dating to me, I think, is like when you actually go out on a date and you've talked to someone multiple times. I'll be honest, I haven't even gotten to that point. And I've kind of, in the past, I realized because I was in a vulnerable place, I was gravitating towards people and sex and things like that to find comfort. And mind you, this is coming from someone who was a virgin until 32, which is like pretty crazy, right? When you think about it. It's kind of like I went the opposite. It's like basically I went willy-nilly and slap happy with sex because, and I'm not gonna, I mean, I don't know if I'm probably not going to disclose how many people I slept with. That would be really personal. And God forbid, like, let's say an employer does look this up. I mean, my name's not associated with the YouTube account, but I don't need them to, like, be like, oh, this girl is very open. And I wanted to be open on purpose because, again, I didn't have a role model, like, in terms of, like, dating and role. I read Matthew Hussey's book called Get the Guy. I didn't really have, like, role models and stuff to go off of in that respect. So I kind of just winged it. And for me, because I was so afraid of like dating and sex and stuff, that like the moment someone touched me, it was like, oh my God, like now I know why everyone likes it so much. But on the flip side, there are men who will take advantage of that. So you have to be very careful, because they will take advantage of your naivety, and they'll be like, oh, that's an opportunity to sleep with someone and basically hump you, dump you, and discard you when you're like me, like what I was doing. I was looking for companionship and passion all rolled up into one, and consistency, and I didn't get that. So just be mindful and wary. And I have to give myself grace, because I finally realized I'm like, it's not my fault that if you sleep with different people, or not at the same time, but like different times, give yourself grace, because that doesn't mean you're promiscuous. It doesn't mean you're a whore. It just, you're human. We're human. So, but anyways, I did take my ovulation test. I have these little ovulation test strips that I use, because the app of Natural Life Cycles, basically they which it looks like almost ovulation, kind of, it's like a really faint line, but they want you to take that because they want you to like, so it helps the algorithm figure out like whether you're fertile or, I'm not trying to get pregnant, let's just first say that. I'm trying to do it as a preventative measure, but they do give you a thermometer. I'll be like, natural cycles. They do give you a thermometer, and I don't know, we'll see if the effectiveness or the efficacy of it. But I gave you water. I'm going to turn on the lights for a second, because I realized, see this, when I woke up, I realized I didn't turn, so I have an outdoor light, like a floodlight, and I forgot to turn it off, so I'm going to turn it off there. Anything else? I'm trying to think, but yeah, this is kind of a depiction of my life right now. I'm trying to decorate this wall, even though I'm pretty sure I'm not really, I don't know if I'm allowed to, but I put like my vision board from like last year, and I put this here. This is a thing I found in Philadelphia that was at a Barnes & Noble bookstore. That it's by Sojourner Truth, and it's really pretty. Turn the light on. But yeah, this is Bonnie's pee pad. I need a larger pee pad, because I notice now she's starting to go potty off of it. So Bonnie, I don't know why she licks when she drinks water. She drinks water like towards the edge of the bowl, and I want her to drink the middle. But yeah, I had my water delivered. I'm gonna roll this up here. Anything else? Any early morning thoughts? Yeah, I did my ovulation test. I finally realized, yes, I'm gonna give myself grace and forgive myself with anything of the past in terms of like men and dating and stuff, because I honestly felt bad. There's certain people in my family kind of made me feel bad about stuff like that, so I'm kind of taking it like with a grain of salt. But this is, this is my life, and early morning, yay. I did realize that one of the goals, maybe it'll be interesting to record it and have like video diary it, and I don't mind sharing it with the world, because the thing is that trauma is something that's universal, and it's universally applicable to all people. So maybe my situation won't relate to you and what I went through, but it may help you, and may go, oh my gosh, she's just like literally, when I saw Lola Young, and people are probably going to scrutinize her like hell for what she, because she was at Coachella, and she dressed like in like a bikini top, and she was like, her belly was exposed, and her pants were like kind of baggy, and I give her a lot of credit, because it's very like, we see the very filtered, edited, beautified, glamorized, which is fine. Like glamour stuff, like I'll be honest, like when I was, I don't know if this is too much information, but when I was in the process of trying to date people and build seduction or, you know, explore that, I would, you know, I call it beautify. I called it sexified, which is basically like I would put my makeup on and I put on lingerie, and I did between the people that I was engaging with, I I went ahead and what's it called? Would, I guess you say, doll yourself up, and I would put on lingerie, and I would, you know, just like, it was a different side of me. It wasn't an alter ego. You know, there's like people go, oh, that's an alter ego. You're trying to use sex as a coping mechanism. No, I wasn't. I legitimately was exploring sex. This is like a year ago. What was it? 2023 when I first started becoming sexually active. And I wore like lingerie and I would put makeup on, and that's the glamorized. And if I'm not going to show those photos, but basically I was like, you know, with the cute like duck face and going like that and all that stuff, which is fine, and it was between myself and someone else. But it's like I feel like oftentimes we don't show, or even social media doesn't show, the true depiction of what it's like in the real world. Like, you know, and that's why I mentioned Lola Young, because she's an artist from the UK, and she literally went on stage and she was in, and she had her hair, like, it wasn't like, another good example is Billie Eilish. Like, she's someone, when you see her, like, she dresses in like jerseys and like baggy shirts and like pants, and she has a beautiful voice, and the girl herself is like, she is naturally, her eyes are like a piercing blue, like ocean, like she did the song Ocean Eyes. I mean, yeah, so it's like, to me, it's like people who can be really raw and authentic and be themselves and show, like Dolly Parton recently, she did this like no makeup campaign, and it's really amazing to see women embrace themselves, their true authentic selves, versus be this glamorized, because the thing is, especially celebrities, I don't idolize them, but because they are in the public eye and we see them every single day, we feel like we have this immediacy towards them, like we know them, right? But we really don't. They're strangers. But because we see them on TV, like when you watch Dancing with the Stars, like I was a very big fan, I'm still a fan of Dancing with the Stars, but like, you know, these are dancers. They're just professional dancers. And because we see them every day, we feel this like closeness to them. So, you know, you see people like Jenna Johnson, gorgeous woman, gorgeous. Her and Val, beautiful couple. Max and Peta Murgatroyd, beautiful couple. What's Pasha and Danielle? I don't know if Danielle, beautiful couple. But you always wonder if they show, and maybe I think they do, the behind the scenes of their life, because I think we glamorize, and we also put these people on a pedestal because we think, oh, they have money, they have all this stuff, they have status. And, you know, don't forget, people are going to show you the highlight reels, the best part of themselves, because don't forget, they're trying to advertise themselves. So it's like, I'm doing this because I want to show people that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be a work in progress. It's okay to be a mess. And this is coming from somebody who literally, I literally was somebody who I was a big fan of planners, like the Erin Condren planner. Like, even to this day, like, I bought a planner at Target a few months ago, and I showed it in one of my videos, and it's really cute. It's like rainbow colored, and like I did that because I wanted to manifest productivity, because I'm weird. I actually like to work. I'm a bit of a busy bee. I like to do different projects and stuff, and it's been a really weird journey trying to overcome. I did have depression, I will be honest, anxiety, but that was because of stuff that I went through in the past with somebody, and at home in Miami, where I wasn't treated too nicely. And I will one day talk about that, but I didn't want that to be, because a lot of people, when they come on, they're like, this is my trauma story, this is my survival story, and I'm like, I didn't want that. I wanted to create a channel where people, when they see it, they feel happy and they feel empowered, and they're like, oh, I can relate to her, because maybe you're somebody who's 25 and you haven't had sex yet. Maybe you're somebody who feels like an outcast. Maybe you're somebody who was bullied in middle school, or whose parents, you know, don't see eye to eye with you on certain things, you know, and that's okay. It's okay to not be okay. And life is a journey. It's a healing process. It's a learning process of that. And, you know, my life is going to be messy. And I tell myself, I'm like, well, will anyone ever date me as for me, right? Like without the makeup, without the cute, the lingerie or the sexy pictures or dirty talk, like, will someone really, truly, you know, take me for me? And if they don't, then it's not somebody that I'd want anyways, because, and I was going to do another video on this about choosing people who choose you and cutting ties with the karmics and, you know, those who manipulate, gaslight, and use you, because it's hard, because some people, it's really hard to tell whether their intentions are pure or not, because there's a lot of people who will act like they have your best intentions at heart, and they will put their best foot forward and seem like, I don't know, like, you know, they talk to you and, you know, they care, but really they're just trying to get close to you to, like, I don't want to get too, like, be like, oh, people are ops and they're trying to spy on you. I don't know. You know, the only time when it comes about espionage and spy stuff is, like, the most I know about it is James Bond, you know, and my life kind of, again, I'm not going to get too much into it, but because of the stuff that happened to me in the past, I kind of felt like I got thrown into this world that I didn't know anything about, and the truth of it really was, like, and I could cry about it because it hurt my heart so much to find out that there were people that I've tried to seek solace and resolution from and help from, and I got the opposite. I got basically, like, scrutinized, antagonized, told, oh, you need to get over it, you made it up, you want attention. And it's like, no, that's not what happened. But you have to find, you know, every day is going to be a new day, right? I tell myself, there's a song, I forgot who sings it, there's a Christian song that says you're alive and breathing. And with that, if you are, you can't, sometimes things are beyond your control, right? Like, there's things like, I can't stop rapists from wanting to rape. I can't stop wars from happening. I can't stop people from committing suicide. I can't stop bombings. I can't stop school shootings. And these things really take a toll on my heart because I care, because being an empath, like, literally things are like amplified and magnified 10 times more. So for me, it's just like, you have to, Michelle Obama says something like, where you start small, and then you just, you know, you make small changes in your community, and also you are the change. You know, you might not be able to affect change on a worldwide scale, but you yourself, by starting with yourself, because you are part of the universe. So think about how cool this idea is. Because you're part of the universe, right? You're on Earth. If you change yourself, then you change part of the universe. I think that's wild. And I told myself, I was like, maybe I can't affect, you know, like global change, but, like, you have to start somewhere, right? You have to start small. It's like baby steps. And you can't also have people try to adopt your worldview, because that would be very elitist. Like, you think people who are, like, nationalists and stuff, who, like, basically, like, take so much pride in their own country that they think that their country is better than other countries. That's what so I learned that in sociology. It's what nationalism is. So, being someone who's open-minded, and you don't have a provincial way of thinking, like narrow-minded, you don't keep the blinders on, you open them, and you say, hey, there's other opinions that are different from mine. That's, I think, to me, in my opinion, like, that's kind of how I live my life. I don't know how I'm getting on this topic, but basically, more so the reason why I'm doing this, and this is let me tell you, this is very vulnerable for me, because, like, I never thought at 33 I'd be, like, showing, like, my bed and, like, you know, my nightstand. It looks kind of messy. I do have, like, I'm trying to read an anger book by I'm not really an angry person, I will say that. I'm generally an optimistic person. And if people piss you off, don't forget, everyone is a mirror, right? And oftentimes, if someone does something against what you do in your life, or they have a differing opinion or view than you, more often than not, that's usually, like, since we're mirrors of each other, basically, sometimes some people will bring out the parts of you that are angry and bitter and resentful, but that's, to me, in my opinion, that's God's way of going, okay, you need to tweak those parts of yourself. So if you're easily angered, right, if you are short-tempered, you have a short fuse because someone else pissed you off, someone that has emotional maturity and emotional wherewithal and competence or intelligence will go, okay, I notice that person is making me angry. What can I do? And it triggers me, right? What can I do, or establish coping strategies that'll help me overcome that, so I don't get easily triggered, right? Because that's the way that God works. We reflect each other. Like, so I may reflect back to somebody things that they don't have in themselves, if that makes sense, right? Like, if I piss someone off, like me as Ashley, who, right, if I piss someone off, then basically maybe it's something about me that they're missing within themselves. Because if someone meets me and they're easily triggered by me for whatever reason, people get triggered by people for who knows what reason. I could walk down the street, like I was talking with my therapist yesterday, and she gave me a really good perspective. Like, I have this pink sweater where is it? I got this sweater on Stitch Fix, and I love it, right? It's like, I consider it's like a Barbie pink sweater, right? And you think at 33, you're like, why would you wear it? And I'm like, to me, it's cute. Someone else may go, oh my God, why is she wearing a pink sweater? She's 33 and she needs to dress her age. It brings me joy. Now, if me wearing a pink sweater pisses someone off, maybe it's God's way of telling them, hey, you need to get more comfortable with yourself, because if you're going to pick on a girl who's a stranger to you, you see walking down the street, and you're going to be easily angered and triggered because she's wearing a pink sweater, then boo-boo, God's like, then you need to like reevaluate yourself and reassess yourself, because she's doing her thing, she's living her life, she likes the color pink, where you might like the color green, or orange, or brown, or black. Maybe you dress in all black. Maybe you're more into like emo, goth style stuff. That's okay, as long as you're not like wishing death upon people and doing satanic rituals, and have like, you're not wearing blood around your neck, and doing witchcraft. So, but that's my point, is like, sometimes we see some things in other people that they may, like, I may get triggered by some other people. Like, I'm very triggered by people that are racist and stuff, because to me racism is really ugly. The fact that we judge each other based on the color of our skin is just, it's flabbergasting to me. Think about it. Just because someone's skin is darker, we're gonna like judge them. It's insane, to me. But I'm not gonna get too much into it. But that does trigger me. But that reminds me, I go, people are gonna hold a different worldview than you. People may not go through people may look at me and go, oh my God, she's using her story as an excuse to gain attention or whatever. No, I'm using my story as a means, because Morgan Harper Nichols said it. There's a quote. She says, tell the story of the mountain you climbed, because it might be someone else's survival guide. And it's the truth, because I have been through a lot of shit. My life basically went from, like, it completely, like, when I tell you completely, I mean, imagine losing like, I went to school, I have a master's degree, like, I put the work in for my education. I had a savings account. I had so much, in my life. I had friends. I had a life, and I've had to be in survival mode for almost 3.5 years. It'll be 4 years in June. And one day I will offer forgiveness. I will. I'm not quite there yet, because the hurt runs really deep, and the hurt was done by people that you think would have championed you in rooms that you were not in, if my name was uttered and spoken in rooms that I'm not in. And to be able to pick yourself up out of the trenches by yourself, with no one holding your hand. And yes, I may along the way have sought comfort and solidarity in physical activity, sexual activity, right? Doesn't mean I'm a whore, doesn't mean I'm promiscuous. That was just my journey. Some people have journeys where they're 18. Some people go to college and they were date raped, and then nothing's said about it. They go to college and they get gangbanged almost at a fraternity, and no one says anything, because the girl's going to keep her mouth shut because she doesn't want to be scrutinized or ridiculed, right, on campus. So a lot of people go through trauma, and it looks very different for different people. But you grow through what you go through. And, again, I wanted to show, like, I forgot to clean the pan, but I'm going to work on that, and I'm going to try to develop, kind of like when I was like 14 or 15 and I was in high school. I have to basically parent myself again. And I have to be my own kind of like caretaker and be like, okay, I'm going to set an alarm. I'm going to get up. When it's 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, I'm going to do a routine, because unfortunately trauma shakes up your world. And it basically, when you're in survival mode, you don't have time to think like, okay, I'm going to set the alarm. You're too busy trying to live and survive. And one day, again, I will share my story of what I went through. I don't really want to like give too much credence to it, because again, I wanted to make a YouTube channel to talk about positive things and how to help people cope through things. So yeah, but this is my life. I have to clean the pan and do some dishes, but I did realize, if you're someone, And let's say you didn't go through trauma. Let's say you're someone who just procrastinates, or you're like, you know, you don't want to do tedious things or whatever, and you're like, oh, but I don't want to go to, you know, some of you have the luxury, you get to go to work, you have a job, you have an income, you have money coming in. It's amazing once you lose something, how much you take it for granted. You realize how much you at the time, you take it for granted, right? You're like, how work is something that you have to appreciate. Sometimes people, especially if you have a job, you probably go in, you're like, oh my God, I have to go into work, I have to see these people. No, you get to work. There are people who go and get in car accidents and they're paralyzed and they're trying to figure out how to get on disability. There are people who get diagnosed with cancer, they can't even work, and then they're trying to figure out if health insurance will cover them, and they're trying to figure out how do you make money while being a cancer patient. Like, there's so many things that people go through, which is crazy to think. If you get diagnosed with cancer, how you just sit there like and make income when you're trying to heal your body and be healthy and whole. It's crazy to me. I don't know what it's like in other countries, but here it's kind of like you have to die to live. Like, not die to live, like you have to like work hard, you know, to live. Or, you know, like what they say is you live to work and work to live. I think we live here, we live to work, and other places you work to live. So I don't know. I will say though that I think I do need to establish a routine, meaning like, I don't know, because I do notice that like I'm just starting to get over the hump of like, I don't know, just like trying to overcome adversity and stuff. So I do like to do to-do lists. I do have a planner. You can use, like, there's the smart devices where you can say, hey, remind me of this, this, and this. I do use that. Being neurospicy, I haven't been like clinically diagnosed with ADD. I unofficially say that because, and I will say, I think the phone, to be honest, contributes to that. Why? Here's what I think why. You're constantly being fed dopamine, right? Through the when you doom scroll, you're constantly being fed serotonin and dopamine. It almost becomes an addiction, right? Because your mind goes, oh, this is happy stuff, I'm going to keep looking at it, and you just keep scrolling and scrolling, and ads and stuff do the same thing. Ads are meant to hook you, right? AI at this point, I think it's like, basically AI can almost like, I remember there was a video of a lady saying that she was thinking about something, and on her Facebook ad, like, it popped up, and she's like, holy shit, that's crazy. It was like an ad for something, you know? So you really wonder, it's like, you know, where that's going. But it also, I'm just saying, it's not to say that technology is the enemy and stuff like that, but, you know, it doesn't lend itself to productivity, because it's meant to keep you hooked. It's meant to keep you like engaged and like engrossed in that, you know, the scrolling thing, right? Because it's essentially feeding your interest, right? Your intrigue. So I've learned that, like, and because especially something what I went through, it again, I'll go more into it. I realized that, you know, like, you have to, like, I don't know, you have to be your own advocate. Sometimes you have to, and this is gonna sound harsh, and I don't mean to sound like a bitch in any way, but sometimes you have to suck it up and man the fuck up. What I mean by that is, no one's gonna hold your hand. No one is gonna be like, here, let's go fix trauma together. Oftentimes they're going to be plotting against you, and people are going to be wishing how to plot on your downfall while you're coping. And it's sad, and that's the truth. And I never thought that that's the world we live in, but it is. It's a harsh reality, especially someone who's empathic and intuitive and spiritual, and I pride myself on giving love and light to people. To know that there are people who are deliberately at this moment maybe going, okay, how can I destroy her life or undermine her? I'm not kidding. Like, this is the thing, and you will experience this. And if you haven't, let me tell you, it will build your resiliency and tenacity, and it will give you such thick skin. And when you get met with adversity and challenges and hardships and heartbreak, bro, you're like a pro. Not to say you become cold-hearted and devoid of all emotion, but when someone tries to like hurt you, like, I decided to unmatch from him. I'm actively, again, dating or whatever. Not really dating, courting. I'm going to say courting. It's not dating. Dating apps are not dating. Until you get to the point where you're sitting down at a restaurant or at a movie or at a park or at a picnic or a mini golf tournament. I do like mini golf. That's just me. And I'm pretty good at it, I must say. Not to, like, a humble brag, not to toot my own horn. But yeah, so anyways, but regular golf, no. I do not know how. That would be a fun date, though, to learn how to, like, swing a golf club. That's just me. I don't know about other women. I actually would like to learn how to play golf. But anyways, I don't want to get sidetracked. One of the dudes I was talking to, he basically like went ghost, but the conversation was going, and it was just this morning, and And I was trying to, be like, I was trying to compliment him because he had a bunch of tattoos. I don't know if you like to date people. I never thought I'd like to date someone with a bunch of tattoos, but because I have a tattoo here. It says fearless. I have one that says love always wins. I have one on my wrist that's a cross for Christ. And then I have the other one over here, which is like a little heart, because it always reminds me to be loving and kind. But I decided to go, I said, you know what? I was like, I got weird vibes, and I was like, no, I have a feeling he's playing me or tricking me, and so I deleted him, and he was really cute too. Oof, he had like blonde hair. He was like basically the older version of an Abercrombie and Fitch model. Like he had, and he was, I think he spoke French. He said he was like a country boy, and he had like cute blonde hair, beautiful blue eyes, Abercrombie and Fitch model. But it takes a lot more than looks. Like you can be a Mr. Rico Suave Papi Chulo Suavemente, which in Spanish is like, Papi Chulo is like the guy that thinks he's all that in a bag of chips. But, don't waste it. People like that, you need to, you match, like for me, I match them, I give them a chance, and then when they show me who they are, I go, no. I'd rather be with the guy that's maybe a little bit nerdier, maybe not an Abercrombie Fitch model, but like decent, like to me, I think when your inner light shines outward, like, and you might not be like super like attracted, like an Adonis, like a Hercules with the 6-pack abs and like the suavemente, like the swoosh hair. But if you're a good person and you have a kind heart, bro, there's like nothing more attractive than that. A guy that's like all like, I'm into myself, I'm like the shit, and I have the gym photos, like I might give him a chance. Like there's actually a good story. Side note, there was a guy when I was in Virginia, I'm not gonna say his name. He was a military person, because he had his pictures of, he said he was in the military, and he had a daughter. And man, you never want to judge a book by its cover, because he had a picture, I'll never forget, he had a picture of himself where he was raising his shirt and his abs, he had a 6-pack. I was like, damn. And he told me, and I'm, because I'm not into like the selfies when the guys are like, they do the thing where they're like with their abs, and I get it, like you're proud of your body or whatever. And he actually said, forgive me for, like, he said, I'm really proud because I came a long way because I was overweight, and I, so I was like, okay, I cut him some slack in that sense. And then he also said, I'd really love to have deep conversations with people. Like he said he likes to read books. He's really into like having deep, like intellectual, thought-provoking discussions, like intellectually stimulating discussions. And I was like, man, I judged a book by its cover, because he seemed like I hate to use the word boy, player, because he was all like, and he was a good-looking guy. He had a daughter. Again, I'm not gonna say his name. He had a young daughter, and I remember he said that we didn't move forward talking with each other because he moved to Ohio. He said he was gonna move back to Ohio to be with his daughter or something, or his daughter, I don't know, something with his daughter and the daughter's mom. But smart dude. He seemed like a smart dude, and he said he liked thought-provoking discussions. He likes to read, and I'm like, man, you can't judge a book by its cover. So, yeah, just a side note. And there's been other people too that I've matched with that I'm like, they live, like one guy was from Minnesota. He was like he was in Vermont, and he was training for like a triathlon or something. Like when you think of Iron Man, he was training for a triathlon, and he was really cute. And he said he was like separated from his wife or divorced or something. He had kids. Cute guy. Cute. Again, like Abercrombie and Fitch model cute. But decent, decent. And again, that kind of fell through because he lived in Minnesota. I live here. But, there are good people out there who won't undermine you and won't hurt you. So, on the flip side of it, don't judge a book by its cover. I forgot why I got on this topic. There's a reason. I forgot what it was. But I guess I was just talking about people and like relating to different people. But yeah, I think, when it comes to trauma and stuff, and I wanted to give a true depiction. Oh, that's why I said about cutting people out, like, cutting people off out of your life and stuff like that, and, choosing people who choose you. And I will do a video more on that later. But I think, I don't know, like those are my thoughts. Early morning thoughts. Not really too early morning, it's 10:13 a.m. But if you want to join me on the journey of trying to get back to a sense of normalcy, by all means. And I wanted to do this as well, like I said, because no one has it right. I think there's so much pressure on us as humans and society to excel, to perform, to succeed, to achieve, to make tons of money, to gain social status, high elite social status, gain followers, gain influencers, gain likes. I used to think we're living in a society where we're living for likes. And literally, like, people I've noticed, like, where they will go somewhere or go on a vacation just so they can post about it later, so they gain followers. So it's not so much about them enjoying the vacation, more so, or the experience, it's more so about them attracting visibility and publicity to wherever they're going. Like, if I said, oh, hey, I'm going to Cabo, and I'm gonna show myself with the margarita sipping under the palm trees, like, that might get I'm gonna show Hawaii in the video of the ocean and the volcano, look at me in the volcano. It's like, that's kind of what I mean. And it's like, God forbid someone goes somewhere because they genuinely want to enjoy it. So you won't catch me. I mean, I'm not doing this to gain favor or likes. I'm doing this because I want to help people who feel broken, who feel like they're a mess, who feel like they're at a standstill, they're at an impasse in their life. And if they feel like, and if I tell you right now, legitimately, if I tell you I went from having all of my savings basically wiped away from me to having like nothing, that's where I am in my life. And it's a very weird place to be because, again, I pride myself on being somebody who, like, I'm not big on spontaneity. I like structure. I like certainty. I like knowing that, oh, I have an Outlook appointment at this time. I'm going to go to so-and-so meeting with so-and-so, like, that's just me. And it's been a weird journey to, like, basically navigate that, if you will. Navigating uncertainty. I did a video on it. And it's weird. It's weird sitting in a place of ambiguity and uncertainty because I like certainty. I like structure. I like order. I'm not into, like, chaos and stuff. So I realize this got longer than I hoped for. But I am going to document it because I think it's important. I think we should show the less glamorous side. And I don't have any makeup on. I'm kind of just, I woke up and I'm like, let's be real, let's keep it real. And this is interesting because this is not scripted. This is my life. Like, you watch reality TV, you watch The Bachelorette, you watch The Bachelor, you watch Love is Blind, Temptation Island, whatever you call them, those TV shows, right? There's a certain element of scriptedness. Unfortunately, there is. Like, you may think, oh my God, it's so, like, on the moment. No. They have to set up the cameras. They have to, like, tell the people, hey, we're going to film you. I remember when The Bachelorette was with, what was his name? Cameron something. I forgot his last name. It was I think his name was Cameron. And then Hannah, when they went to, like, Germany and they were, like, filming their bike date in Amsterdam. I think they were in Germany, if I remember correctly. That was when I actually did watch The Bachelorette. And I stopped. But, I stopped. I forgot when I stopped. Who I stopped watching it after. But yeah, and I'm like, so there's a certain element of scriptedness to things, but then they kind of go, okay, this is the framework, this is the bones of it, right? But you guys are going to ultimately decide how you want to see it go. So, this is not scripted. This is my life. This is my messy bed, my messy nightstand, my pot and pan in the middle. And I'm not doing that to, like, be like, oh my God, she's so messy. I'm not messy. I used to be really, really clean. And I'm not, when I think of it, I'm not too messy, but it's like, there's a certain beauty in vulnerability, I think. Like, someone who could be authentically themselves is so attractive versus someone who's trying to be like, yes, I'm perfect and I have, like, 1,000 followers and, like, and that's not a lot, but I'm not trying to do that. I want to help people who feel like they're at, not a loss, but feel like they're navigating uncharted waters and you're doing it alone. Because I essentially am doing it alone. I have my dog, though. I have Bonnie, but to be honest, I'm realistic. Something, like, I literally had a scare where I thought she had lymphoma. I'm trying to determine if it's so there was a picture, there's something called neurofibromatosis. Basically, it's like you develop benign tumors on, like, your spinal cord, your brain, different things like that, and your nerves. I don't know if that's what she has. I'm thinking it's something, she had an infection, and basically her lymph nodes. I try to massage her every day, and I do, like, Reiki healing, and I massage her lymphatic system to get that lymph fluid going. So lymph fluid is basically like the filter of the body when like all your like the interstitial fluid and like T cells, B cells, NK cells, all of that kind of just, it's basically like it helps fight infection, right? It filters all the icky stuff. So imagine if all the icky stuff gets compacted into like one little spot. That's when like, yeah, it's not good. And then the infection can brew and no bueno. So I've been trying to, but I'm realistic. One day she could pass. One day she could like literally pass away, and I would be devastated because she's been the one constant, I will say, throughout my whole journey of this whole everything I've gone through. She's been the one constant that never, and that's why dogs literally, like dogs, when you think about it, dog is God spelled backwards, right? So I don't know, I think dogs and animals just in general are like gifts from God, and they don't speak, and you really wonder if dogs, I will say, when a dog speaks in a movie, like the animated like cartoons and stuff, bro, like that shit scares me. I can't watch it. But when the Lion King movie came out, when Disney did the live action, whatever, and it was CGI, I can't watch it because seeing an animal talk is like the weirdest thing to me. When you give humanistic qualities to animals, like in CGI animated stuff, it's weird to me. So, yeah. But anyways, she's been the one thing that's been the constant in my life. And one day, people that are bullies, someone could, I saw a video, there's a guy he has a dog named Chooch. I think it's called Eddie and Chooch or something. And someone legit put like raisins, chocolate covered raisins in his yard. And they knew like that could kill his dog. And I always wondered, there's people like that. There are people who are just crazy and ruthless and merciless and soulless and will just, like, they're psychotic and they'll kill people just to kill people because they're crazy. Like, and that's sad. And I'm the kind of person where I'd want to rehabilitate that person. That's just me. But like, it's easier said than done. So, and again, I can't save the world. So I'm just going to do the best that I can. But yeah, so I'm realistic. One day she could pass and it might just be me. And that's going to be hard. That will be really hard. And I do wonder sometimes because she does look older than her age. I adopted her at a shelter in New Jersey. And I do wonder, because you never know. They kind of guesstimate the age and stuff. They did say she had kennel cough when I adopted her. But, you never know medically, like what, because they're trying to get a dog adopted, right? So you never know what they can say or do to try to, trick you into, taking another dog that might be maybe on like hospice or like palliative care, and that'd be pretty deceptive because you think, oh, you're getting a healthy dog, and because there's things like people, there, and God bless them, there's people that will adopt dogs that are like on their last leg of life to give. Like I knew a neighbor in Florida. He was a lawyer, his wife was a judge, and they actually adopt animals that are like older, like senior dogs, and that are like ill and elderly and not doing well, and he gives them, and there's other people who do it too. There's like charities and stuff and non-for-profits that do this kind of work, and I really commend them because it's like that's really selfless, because if you have the money to be able to take care of them in the treatment, like because it costs a lot. Like vets cost a lot. Like animals are costly. But I wouldn't change it for the world, and I'm so grateful for her. And sometimes I feel bad because I feel like she deserves to have like a yard, where she can run around and like run free and play. And I tried to see if they could fence the backyard, but yeah, he wasn't privy to that. Which it's his house or their house, whatever. So I'm not gonna like argue with that, but it would be nice to one day if I could have like a home for her, or not like a big home, but like a modest home where she can like run around and play. I don't know. I don't know how to manifest that. You would think as a spiritual person, you'd be like, oh, manifest it. Just meditate and like try to, I haven't really been able to focus on meditation and law of attraction stuff too much. I've been just trying to kind of survive. So, all that fun stuff like spirituality, and I've been in yoga. I used to be a really avid yoga practitioner, and I kind of stopped. Things change, like when your life basically goes whoop, and you basically have to like fight for your life and, be an investigator and detective all at once, unofficially. Yeah, it's not easy. So, anyways, I do need to get my day started. I am going to try, it's 10:23. I am going to try, in all seriousness. I don't know. This is where sometimes I wish I had a life coach. Like, I know I could probably be a life coach myself and help other people, but you also need to fill your cup up, right? Like, I realize you can't be the best for others if you don't feel the best yourself. And therapists know this, psychologists know this. because there is something called compassion fatigue. And if you're empathic by nature, you're going to soak up all that stuff, right? So I'm going to try to figure out how to, because I do a lot of to-do lists. It's following through with that list that's the issue. So I need to basically feel like if I'm going back to school and at 8 o'clock I need to sit in my chair and be at my desk, I might do that. I might I may have to force myself, you know, like I might have to, like, is it toddler myself? Like I may have to like go old school and be like, at 8 o'clock I'm gonna like sit down and I'm gonna be at a desk and I'm gonna do my, so I have I signed up for TEFL, TEFL, so it's basically to teach English as a foreign language certification, to be able to teach English online or abroad. Preferably I would like to work with kids, just because I like working with kids. I have worked with adults, like as a yoga teacher, so I do have experience in that. But you know, it's different when you're teaching an adult learner, because the adult brain has already gained experiences, and in the adult brain itself, like psychologically, mechanically, your brain is set, right? Your frontal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe, temporal, all that wonderful neurology or neurological stuff, that's all set. But kids' brains, they're like sponges. They're so cute because they're so raw and so effervescent, and they're so real. And I think that's why I resonate with kids more, because they don't lie, they don't cheat, they're just real. They're authentically themselves. And as adults, unfortunately, because we develop egos and we go, oh, we can do things our way, right? We start to develop this more like this sense of self that becomes more prideful and egotistical, like, you know, and it's harder to kind of to mold minds and help give counsel to people when they, unless you're someone, I will say adaptability, people who have the adaptability gene or like flexibility gene, they're more open to like education or open to constructive criticism. It's easier. But adults are very like, we're set in our ways, and to be able to like change someone's mind like that or like teach them is a little bit harder, unless they literally have a propensity or willingness to want to learn, which is me. Like I'm someone, I love to learn. Like I used to be someone who I would love to go on Coursera and like I would like literally like I wanted to, I forgot what was I learning at one point? There was like so many topics. I had so many Coursera top like things that I wanted to do and learn. Recently I added, like a few months ago, I wanted to learn about the Constitution. I wanted to learn about law. I thought, because of what I went through, I was like, oh, I want to go to law school. It costs a pretty penny, and I suck at taking tests, and the LSAT would probably scare the shit out of me. So, and the bar. So I just, yeah, I don't, I feel like I would need a lot of time, because when I tried to be a PA to do physician assistant studies, I opened the book, like I opened the chemistry book, I was like, nope. But I know, like, I wanted to learn, I cared, but man, they really try to weed you out with that stuff. So, you know, my point is that I have to be, I'm trying to grow discipline, and I'm going to try to force my brain. This is going to be a good experiment for myself, because I'm going to take my neurospicy brain and I'm going to force it to do things that I don't want to do. Like if I don't want to do the dishes, I'm going to force it. So I'm going to have to kind of do my own version of CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, which is basically when you like try to, it's your like actions, your thoughts, emotions, thoughts, behaviors. It's kind of like a trifecta. So I kind of need to like switch my brain to want to do the things that seem menial and mundane, and then force myself to sit and focus. Like I don't know if I need to like turn off my phone, because I find myself gravitating to my phone a lot. I get distracted. I'm like, oh, let me look at YouTube. Let me watch a video. Let me watch an oracle card video. Let me watch tarot. Let me watch a dance video. I like to watch a lot of dance videos. Or let me watch a recipe, even though there's like 50 million other things I need to be doing. That's what I'm going to try to do. So if you're someone who lacks discipline and focus, and you didn't go through trauma and you're just like trying to figure out how to do that, you can join me on the journey. And I'm going to document it, because why not? You know, maybe someone will watch this like 3 years from now and be like, oh my God, this girl, like she went through so much shit and like she pulled herself out of it. I can do that too. And I don't know your story. Maybe you had, you know, I don't know, like I said, maybe you're divorced, or you're thinking about getting divorced, and you're going to be a separate person after living with someone for 6 to 10 years. Or maybe you had a miscarriage. Maybe you had a baby and that was what you whether you're single or married or coupled up, and you had this plan and you had the room, and you know, you're going through tragedy and grief and loss, and you're like, how do we do this? And then maybe you have to navigate infertility, and you have to get IVF, or you have to do, you know, all that stuff that comes with that, and you didn't expect to. Or maybe you get diagnosed with some debility, like God forbid, ALS or Parkinson's, or let's say you're taking care of a mother that has dementia, or a father that has dementia. Life is going to throw you so many curveballs, and God never promised that it would be easy, just that we would be equipped with the skills to get through it. And in that is the learning experience, right? So I'm taking my situation as a learning experience. Can I change people from the past? No. Can I forgive them? Yes, possibly. And within time I will. Taylor Swift mentioned something where she said in a video, you don't always have to forgive people. And I don't know. It's just, it's hard, you know. I don't want to cry. It's just forgiveness is hard, because I was hurt really deep, and by people. I probably will cry. This is when I know I'm not fully healed yet, because it still hits me like a ton of bricks, because, you know, my family, I feel like my family essentially betrayed me, and I'm not going to go into too much detail about that. The community I grew up in, my home, the place that I considered that I thought was safe, even police officers and stuff. I went to, you know, because I had to get the law involved at one point because of what I went through. I was met with like disdain, and by one of them really hurt was a woman, and she was at the front desk of the precinct that I went to in my home, and she rolled her eyes at me like I was crazy, and I went in there with like tears. I was so sad, like I was so distraught, and I felt so helpless. And I sat there and I gravitated toward this woman. There was one guy who was a cop, one guy who was decent. And I saw that he had a picture on his phone of his son, like, and I told him, your son looks so wonderful, and you can he was the only one that truly acted like he cared. Yeah, it's hard, because, you know, when you feel like your community kind of betrays you and people turn their back on you, and you don't have any choice but to just pick yourself up and keep going. And that's where resiliency comes in. And forgiveness, I don't know when I'm going to do that or how, but you know, God will, if you feel empowered enough, and you have such faith in the Most High, and in what God, you know, you will be invincible. Like, you can literally be in a room full of wolves and demons. You can have people waiting to shoot you or sniper you, you know, outside your door, and God will conspire in ways to help you navigate that unscathed, untouched. People that were once your enemies will turn maybe into lovers, or turn into friends and not foes. Things that were meant for your detriment will become for your benefit, and you'll grow through it. And I don't literally mean like a cliche, you grow through what you go through, but you will. And you know, you will find this inner fortitude that you never thought you had, and you're gonna look back and be like, damn, I'm a badass. And you don't need anyone to tell you that. You don't need someone to like be like, oh my God, I bow down at your feet. No, you know it in yourself. And I relish in that, and I don't take pride in that and say, oh my gosh, I've come a lot, but I really do. And I'm the little girl that I was at 9 or 10 years old would look now and be like, yeah, you went through a lot of shit, and you may look and feel like a mess, but inside, like, you don't know how inspirational, how strong you are, you know. And I take pride myself in that. So again, if you're starting over, if you feel like shit, if you feel like you can't get up anymore, also I implore you, because there's this boy who kind of inspires me. I wanted to get a tattoo in honor of him on my wrist, where it was like a cloud, because it literally so he wrote this on clouds. His name was Zach Sobiak. And in the moments of complete, utter hopelessness and terror, there were two things that kept me going. Was one, former First Lady Michelle Obama's word. She says, when they go low, you go high. And then the other thing was the boy, Zach Sobiak. He was I don't know why, because I've worked with so many kids that have had terminal like issues like cancer, or they have end stage renal disease, or like they're diagnosed with cerebral palsy, and they're confined to a wheelchair, and their wrists are turned in, and they're very hypotonic, not hypertonic, hypotonic, because they have low muscle tone, and they're basically like they're confined to a wheelchair, and they're it's thin, right? Like, and they have no muscle control, but they're basically trapped and confined in their bodies, right? I've worked with kids like that. I worked with a patient in the neurology unit when I was doing my practicum for child life. He had Angelman syndrome. I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it's like Down syndrome where there's like a genetic mutation, like Down syndrome, trisomy 21, like that's, all of it presents its challenges, right? But like, I've been there, and I've dealt with a lot of kids and seen a lot of things, but this story of this one boy, I'm like, I don't know, it just hits close to home because he was such a guiding light. Like, that's when you know when people are like angels in disguise, when I say God sends down his angels and stuff. So like, to me, I look at that story and I go, well, if he can do it, I mean, to think like you're 16 or 14, you have your whole life ahead of you, and then you're told, oh, you have osteosarcoma, like, you have cancer in your bones, and it's going to spread, it's going to metastasize, and it's going to go to your pelvis, and we might have to take your pelvis off, but you won't be able to walk anymore. And his mother, I mean, imagine your son, like, from her perspective. I've never thought of it from her perspective. Her son, and this is years ago, mind you. This is years ago. They're a family from Minnesota, and they literally, like, they had to juggle between, do we continue with cancer treatment, do we go with chemo, or do we let life take its course and quality of life over, that's when the decisions about palliative care and hospice care come in. So it's like, I watched his story and I was like, man, like, if he can go through that, then I can get through anything, because people don't prepare you for what cancer is like. You're confined to an infusion chair. You have to get a port placement placed in your chest. You have this tubing that enters your circulatory system, basically it's like your arteries, like your main arteries, and I don't know if it's like the main arteries or superior, like there's a thing they call the superior vena cava, where like literally it basically connects to your heart, and it gives you chemo medicine, which is poison. Basically, it eradicates your whole immune system. You have no white blood cells, so basically you have to wear a mask all the time, and you just feel like shit. You're nauseous, you're fatigued, and this is a chronic thing, and it's either you live with that or you get surgery, and if it's bloodborne, or if it's blood cancer, it's a little bit more, it's difficult. Leukemia, I think, is manageable. Certain types, there's AML and CLL, but other things, like when you have tumors and or osteosarcoma, it's a little bit more difficult. And it's like, man, this kid was a kid. He was going to high school. He was going to go to college. He had this girlfriend, and it's like, I feel sometimes guilty. I'm like, man, I get to live, and he dies. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to cry. It's just, it hurt. It gets to me, because it's like, sometimes I wonder, because I'm like, there's so many people on earth, and some people who die earlier, and I'm like, I get to be here. Sometimes I don't understand it, so forgive me. I get really, it just touches me, because I'm just like, I feel really blessed. So whenever, for me, what helped me keep going, and I go, there are good people. I reminded myself, I would watch that video over and over and over again. It's called My Last Days, and it's just like, that's what honestly made me go, you know what, I'm gonna keep going, because life is beautiful, life is good. There are good people out there. If you think that and if you think that life is full of tragedy, there is. There's a lot of tragedy and heartbreak, but there's also like a lot of goodness too. So like, take heed and give yourself grace, and every day is going to be different. Every day is a new day, and you have to put your feet on the floor. And I know it may sound silly, but there's a show, and I mentioned this before, it's called Dear Evan Hansen, and the character of Evan, he basically says, today's going to be a good day, and today you're you, and that's enough. And I used to wake up in the morning years ago, when that show came out, I used to put my feet on the floor, and I used to breathe, and I used to just take a moment to pause and tell myself, today's going to be a good day, because today you're you, and that's enough. And if you don't feel like you're enough, you are enough. No matter if you're black, white, Asian, Latin, albino, European, whatever, maybe you're someone, and maybe you have vitiligo, and you're someone, you have like the patches on your face, like, you have discoloration in yourself, and you look at yourself, you're like, man, oh, I don't look the norm. No, you are normal. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Maybe you have, again, a chronic condition, and you look okay on the outside, but on the inside, you're battling something that, you're trying to fight for every day, to find comfort and be pain-free. You have to find comfort in like the little things, and you have to keep going, because again, if you're alive and you're breathing, that means that you're here for a reason. And you have to find inspiration in stories of other people, because they may have words that can inspire you that you never knew before. So that's why for me personally, with Zach, I watch his story and I'm like, man, he's so brave. Imagine having to face your own mortality and someone tells you, yeah, you have 6 to 8 months to live, or a year to live. And he took that and he made, like, to me, he's still alive. Like, his legacy lives on, and I can't channel that, not yet. It'd be really cool to be able to say I could channel passed on loved ones and stuff, or the deceased. I don't consider them deceased, I just consider them transitioned. It would be cool to one day be able to connect with people like that. It might scare the shit out of me though, if all of a sudden I see like an apparition, like I'm like, oh my god, holy shit. I'll be like, I think people are, it's like Moana, like when Moana is visited by her ancestors, and her grandmother is like in her like non-physical spiritual form, and Moana goes on the journey, like in the first movie, and then her grandmother appears like at the tip of her boat, and she's like, I'm still here, I'm still alive, just a little bit different. It's kind of like that, that's how I view it. So if you feel like you're lost, just know that, I feel this, I can't really see them, but I'm pretty sure there's a whole spiritual team of people that are floating around the ethers, protecting you and guiding you. So don't lose hope when you feel like all hope is lost, because hope is there. And former President Barack Obama, he said, hope is one of the greatest gifts from God that we can ever get. So, and I believe that. I don't think he's saying that to just say it and waste air, because some people, you think, oh, it's conflated, they're politicians, they're just talking shit, and I don't think so. Some politicians I think really do care about this, like they do care, and they did care about the country. So not all politicians are grimy, slimy, whatever, but some are, and they're all about just the fame and notoriety and whatnot. Others really do genuinely care about this country and the people in it and the general welfare of everybody, no matter your skin tone, no matter your nationality, no matter your socioeconomic status, your race, sexuality, all of that stuff. So I hope that helps. But if you want to join me on my journey of healing, and you want to help encourage me to have discipline, I will be more than grateful, because life is a journey and it's a gift. And one of the quote that I wrote for my senior, I chose for my senior year yearbook was by Helen Keller. She said, life is a succession of lessons that have to be lived in order to be understood. And it's true. So if you break it down, life is a succession, right? A series of lessons that have to be lived in order to be understood. So sometimes that you go, oh, why is this happening to me? It's probably not happening to you, it's happening for you. So, and again, you can't change people. Some people are going to be really fucking cruel and heartless and merciless and disgusting, and like people, like the fact that there was a video of somebody, like after the wildfires happened in LA, there was literally a video of a neighbor capturing on camera someone lighting a garbage bag on fire, and she was screaming, crying, go, how could you, and he had a hood on, he was covering his face with like all black. Why people do this, I don't know. Like the shooter, like at FSU, why do they do that? Why did Nicholas Cruz, Parkland, maybe he had mental health issues, and that's why I'm really against people under the age of 18 having guns. To me, they shouldn't. If you're under the age of 18 or 21, you should not possess a gun, because, and I'm pro firearms, I'm not against firearms, but to me, it's like, if you're a kid, why are you going to have and if you're not going to war, you're not being trained to be in the military, or going to Iraq, you're not at West Point, you should not be having a machine gun or a semi-automatic rifle. There's no need at all. And if some of this, oh, I'm a hunter, no. You have to get training, you have to be responsible, ethical when it comes to firearm safety, and I don't know why that is, but apparently it's still prevalent. But then, you look at people 21 and over. Remember, there was a shooting in Las Vegas from the Mandalay Bay. The guy, I think it was a Jason Aldean concert, and that was a massacre. The LGBTQIA club at Pulse, that was bad. There's a lot of things. So I'm not going to get too much into it, because I'm going to start crying. So I don't want to start the morning off like that. But my point is, if you want to join me on my journey of healing, if you're someone that needs discipline and focus, and you've survived a lot of shit, you can join me and consider me. And if you don't want to publicize it, I totally get you. I was very anti-vlogging, very anti. Like, I used to be the kind of person that was like, are you serious? They're going to talk about them going to the bathroom and being on the toilet? I'm not going to do that. I am doing this to help someone else who is going through something hard, to show you that you are not alone. Because going through what I went through, I felt alone, and I didn't want to feel that. So if I can help somebody get through their trauma and their adversity, whatever that looks like, and it may not be huge, monumental, catastrophic. It might be something smaller, whatever it may be, maybe you, I don't know, maybe you were a football player and you, in high school, and you were the star jockey, the star varsity football person, and you tore your, it's like in the show This Is Us, when his name was Kevin, and he tore his, I don't know if it's a ligament or something happened to his knee. He hurt his knee, and then basically that he lost all the scholarships to go to to college, to play in the college football league or whatnot, and to be eventually national, professional football league. So yeah, it's you wonder, things like that. There's different things that people go through that maybe it's traumatic for them, and it can change the trajectory of someone's life. So yeah, so everyone's going through something, and if you're someone that feels like you can't get through it, I'm here to tell you, you probably can. And if I was able to survive the horrible mess of psychological warfare and spiritual warfare and a bunch of other stuff that I'm not going to get into right now, you can too. And if you're someone let's say if you're healing from the FSU victim, she was shot, and she's recuperating, and she's walking out of the hospital. Anything is possible, especially if you put your mind to something, anything is possible. Never say it's not possible. Try to find possible in the impossible.